Tackle Tip Saturday. Welcome to the Good Karma Sportfishing podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet.
And this is a joint episode with Melinda from the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for listening. I had the brainy idea, since Ryan and I had so much fun doing our other two podcasts together, that we would do this podcast together. On Thursday, we went fishing together, which is not something that we do all that often, only because of our schedules. And I thought it would be fun to share our point of views. Each of us have a little different point of view on this podcast. And because his is about doing a quick tip, I thought that was pretty suitable. And this would just be my normal weekly podcast. So I'm going to pass it to Ryan for him to share his little tip and his point of view.
Okay, so usually when I go fishing by myself this time of year, I'm trialing new rigs. And it just so worked out. We had a nice day, and I'm trialing a new ballyhoo rig called the Cayman Crusher. It's very popular. It's been around for years, and I've been wanting to do it for years. And I just couldn't get the rig right because I just didn't have enough time to play with it and run it. But anyways, so this time around, I was able to make the rig the way I wanted to make it. So I was like, I hadn't been fishing in a while alone. And then I said, hey, Melinda's like, oh, I'll come with you. So in the end, when I go fishing, I have to keep things in mind, because I haven't had a lot of time to do any sort of personal fishing over the past 2 years because I've been extremely busy with charters, which is great. But what happens is I get so focused on filling the coolers, because that's what clients want. They want coolers full of fish, I'm very client driven on what they want, and then so I have to get grounded, because when you're fishing all the time for professionally, it kind of takes control of your life, and you forget why you got into it in the first place, and that's because you really love to fish. So I had to take a step back and say, okay, I need to get back to doing what I used to do, was go fishing in the off time when I had some time by myself to go, and not take anybody. Once in a while I'll take a buddy, but what happens when you take a buddy is you're still in that mode that you need to perform for your friend that's with you. So it's a little different for me. So once you bring somebody along, you're so driven to catch something first and still go out and fill the cooler, that it gets to be more, what's the word for it?
You just want to have fun.
Yeah, I just want to have a good time, man. I just want to go fishing. I could care less if I catch anything. I really don't care. I like to be out on my boat. I like to have fun. I like to try new stuff when I'm by myself. I want to relax.
I want to clear your mind.
I want to play my pop rock on the Sirius radio. I want to be able to listen to my own music.
And you want to have a good time.
I want to have a good time.
So your fishing tip is
have
fun.
So my fishing tip is have a good time while you're out there, and quit trying. And then when you're not really,
keep up with the Joneses.
Quit trying to keep up with everybody. It's sometimes you get so pressured. It's like, oh my gosh, and then you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to run this and that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So my fishing tip this week is have a good time.
Yes, perfect. So when I wanted to share something is kind of in conjunction, but just a little bit to the next level. Ryan and I, we were laid off at the same time in 2009, which I've talked about before. And it was a scary experience that I wouldn't wish on anyone, to have both people be completely unemployed with no backup plans, no money, nothing. And we moved down here, and you're all of a sudden thrown into this world where everyone's fishing all the time and going to happy hour all the time and going to the pool and going snorkeling, going stone crabbing, lobstering. And here we were trying to figure it out and trying to figure out how to start over, how to find jobs, how to build businesses, how to make some money. And it was this awful feeling that I constantly had of guilt whenever someone would ask us to do something. So once in a while, someone in our building would say, hey, do you want to come out on our boat and go fishing? My friend Elizabeth, that I'm still friends with, we went stone crabbing with them one day. One day we went kayaking. And all of those days, it actually was a mental nightmare for me. It was awful because I was constantly feeling guilty about doing something fun. I was constantly worrying that I was going to miss a sale, that I was going to miss a potential job offer. I was going to miss something from a client because at that time when we moved down here, I was trying at first to be an independent sales rep for a Hong Kong-based company and starting that completely from scratch with no client list, nothing. It was completely 100% from nothing. And so I was trying to get that up and running, which didn't happen. And it was just a total struggle mentally to relax and have fun. So I think on Thursday and even last Sunday when we went to the alligator farm, it was, my more recent memories of actually being able to release and just have a good time and just have fun with Ryan. Because when you do a fun activity, you're supposed to just enjoy it and be in the moment and be present. And it's pretty awful when you are that person that can't seem to get there. So on Thursday, it was just so much fun. We just relaxed. And when I go fishing with Ryan, I normally don't care that much about catching fish, to be honest. My intent is always to get something for dinner, and I wanted a wahoo, so that was awesome. And then the second part of my intent is also, and Ryan's too, is always to get some fish that we can share with other people, that we can share with the guys at the marina, that we can share with our neighbors who are really nice, that we can share with any other people we know that really like a certain fish species. We try to share. And so it was really awesome when we caught the awesome. three big wahoo that we had enough for ourselves for 2 nights of dinner, and that we could share with some other people.
Yeah, and I was throwing out lures with wahoo with no wire on them just because I could do that, because I didn't feel the pressure that, oh, well, we lost one. And when I can do that, I know that I'm having a good day. Mm-hmm.
And you've definitely found over the years that when your clients call you, and I think we might have said this before, but it's worth repeating because it's pretty darn compelling, that when they're like, hey, Captain, you just do what you need to do to give us the best trip you can, and they're not telling you, these demanding these demands of where they want to go and what they want to catch and how much they want to fill their cooler, that you have a good time. And that's kind of the attitude that we had on Thursday. We wanted enough to eat and we wanted enough to share. And we just really had a good time. And it was one of the first times I feel that I could mentally let go and just have a good time.
Yeah, that
and
was
eat,
it.
And eat my Fritos. If you saw my Instagram post, I always bring Fritos on our trip and normally dance around to the music, but the radio wasn't working because we had a loose wire or something, but it wasn't a big deal. But just eat some Fritos and just have a good time.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I wanted to do this podcast because I think it is something we lose sight of as we're all working so hard in our lives. So many people have, family obligations that vary from person to person, businesses that are either just stressful or take a lot of time, or you're trying to get up and running. You know what? If you take a day off to have fun and relax and be present, it's going to be okay. And you're not going to get the keys disease like they get down here. Yeah. Because that was actually a real fear.
And they may think they don't have it, but they do.
Yeah,
it's the ones that it's always the ones that think that they don't have it are the ones that have it the worst.
If you know anything about the keys, it's called the keys disease. And it's when people get too caught up in the party scene down here and they end up completely being just, someone who isn't very put together and
I seen a sign the other day.
Can pay their rent.
I seen a sign that said "Now firing, keys disease."
Yeah,
so
it's real. It's real. So on that note, just to recap, have fun, release, be present, and set some intentions. You know, if you feel that that can help you as well, set intentions for the day. I'm personally working on being a little bit more mindful of my intentions. I feel like sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. So I'm just kind of taking that extra little tweak personally. And obviously, we're seeing some good results.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
for sure.
Awesome.
For sure. This week's podcast, I'll talk about the fishing trip that we had and the results from the Cayman Crusher rig with the ballyhoo for the guys that are into, trolling at slower speeds with dead bait. So we'll talk about that and an experience I had with the Kraken, which the Kraken is the lobster pot buoys.
Oh, yes. Is that what you're calling it? That
The
was
Kraken.
fun. Yeah, that's fun. So that was our nail biter.
But yeah, no, it was all good. We got
Yep.
some things happening here, so stay tuned for some stuff.
next time.
So next time.
Yeah. So till next time, you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Those are the two places I hang out the most. And I would definitely love to hear your thoughts. If you struggle with this as well, like I do, definitely know you're not alone. And I always aim to be relatable and would love to hear from you. So you're welcome to email me at melinda@melindavanfleet.com or contact me through LinkedIn or Instagram.
Hope everybody had a good weekend. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.